December 24th. Tony T with our NFL Pick Show here for Saturday's action. We have all 11 games. Before we get to them, just a couple of things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We load tons of free picks on our channel every single day, so make sure you subscribe. Also, if you would support our channel, like this video, give us that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com. We're a multi-capper site showcasing top cappers in our industry. Click the links to the hot cappers, get signed up. Hot cappers like Ramon, who's been hot. Tiffany's been on fire in the NBA. Minnie's been doing great. Pravi as well. Paul, click the links and get signed up to our long-term passes. You'll find our premium picks here in the center of the page here. Many here for this Saturday. Remember, we've got a big lot of NFL games here for you. Best bets. Each capper can release one best bet per sport per day. Many up there on the board today here for for Christmas Eve, as well as our $15 premium pick. Each capper can designate one of their plays from their card as a $15 premium pick, just to introduce their service to new and existing customers. And of course, those 3 packs are very popular, offering great value to the consumer out there. Many up there here for Saturday's action. And our pick ticker. If you prefer, you can purchase your picks a la carte here from our pick ticker with team versus team information. You can save 20% off all our premium pick packages when you use that promo code TonyT at checkout. You can access our page by clicking the link you see in the description. Click the All Cappers tab and get signed up. Always love to hear from you guys, so post your picks in the comments. You can always apply as a capper on our site and our podcast. We put every pick on podcast form, every show in podcast form. Tony's Picks Podcast, available on all major platforms. Just search Tony's Picks. All right, let's get this one started. Falcons and Ravens NFL pick here for Saturday. Atlanta starters healthy on offense and defense. Lamar Jackson out for the Ravens and Tyler Huntley questionable on defense and end and corner out. Atlanta fell to 5-9 with their 21-18 road defeat to New Orleans Saints. Falcons gained 320 yards, 231 rushing on 39 carries. On defense, they allowed nearly 4 yards per rush to the Saints with 214 passing on 19 attempts. Desmond Ridder completed 50% in his first start with 3.7 yards per attempt. He finished with 97 yards. Baltimore fell to 9-5 after a 13-3 road defeat to the Cleveland Browns. Ravens posted 324 yards, 198 rushing on 28 carries. The team allowed 4.5 yards per rush to the Browns with 140 passing on 28 attempts. Media reports has Huntley on track to play with a shoulder. He completed 57% of his passes, 4.6 yards per attempt. He threw for 138 yards and an interception on the year. Huntley, a 70% completion rate with 5.6 yards per attempt. Falcons have lost 5 of 6. The Falcons defense on the road giving up 387 yards, 263 passing for 7.9 yards per attempt. Atlanta on the road is allowing 3.5 sacks per game. Rookie Ridder will have issues in this tough road environment. A healthy J.K. Dobbins is helpful here for Huntley in this game. Player will be Baltimore minus 6.5. Lions and Panthers NFL pick here for Saturday. Detroit fullback out with the center questionable. A safety out on defense with a linebacker questionable. Carolina starters on offense and defense healthy. Detroit improved to 7-7 with their 20-17 road win at the New York Jets. Lions gained 359 yards with 107 rushing on 28 carries. They limited the Jets to under 3 yards per rush with 287 passing on 35 attempts. Jared Goff completed 60% of his passes, 6.6 yards per attempt. He threw for 252 yards and a touchdown. Goff on the season, a 65% completion rate with 7.5 yards per attempt. Carolina fell to 5-9 after that 24-16 home defeat to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Panthers posted 209 yards with 21 rushing on 16 carries. Carolina allowed 3.5 yards per rush to the Steelers with 169 passing on 22 attempts. Sam Darnold completed 61% of his passes, 9.8 yards per attempt. He passed for 225 yards and a touchdown. Darnold on the year, a 59% completion rate with 7.7 yards per attempt. Lions have won 6 of 7, covering all 7 of those games. Past 3 games, Detroit averaging 420 yards, 306 passing with 7.8 yards per attempt. Defense in this period allowing only just 2.9 yards per rush. Panthers offensive form in this span, they're averaging just 295 yards with struggles on third down. The play here will be on Detroit minus the 2.5. Bills and Bears NFL pick here for Saturday. Buffalo center is out with a defensive tackle questionable. Bears receivers Brown out, Claypool doubtful. Both guards are doubtful. On defense, the corner is questionable. Buffalo improved 11-3 after that 32-29 home win to Miami. Bills put up 446 yards, 150 rushing on 29 carries. On defense, they allowed 7.5 yards per run to the Dolphins with 217 passing on 30 attempts. Josh Allen completed 62% of his passes with 7.6 yards per attempt. He passed for 304 yards and 4 touchdowns. Allen on the year, a 64% completion rate with 7.6 yards per attempt. Buffalo, they come off, sorry, not the Buffalo Bills here, but we're talking here about the Bears. The Bears fall to 3-11. It was a 25-20 home defeat to the Philadelphia Eagles. Bears produced 248 yards, 157 rushing on 30 attempts. They held the Eagles to under 4 yards per rush with 309 passing yards on 37 attempts. Justin Fields completed 67% of his passes with 7.2 yards per attempt. He threw for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. Fields had 15 rushing attempts for 95 yards. Bills have failed to cover 6 of 8. Fields was able to cover at home to the Eagles using his legs to move the football. Past 3 games, the Bills are allowing 5.3 yards per rush, and the Bears are running for 5.2 yards per carry. High winds and cold weather, the forecast. With the running game, key here would rather take the points in this spot. The play here, Chicago plus 8.5. Saints and Browns, NFL pick here for Saturday. New Orleans receiver Olave out with the right guard questionable. On defense, out as a linebacker with safety and corner questionable. Cleveland starters on offense are healthy with defensive end out and safety questionable. New Orleans improved to 5-9, a 21-18 home win to the Atlanta Falcons. Saints put up 348 yards, 134 rushing on 34 carries. On defense, they allowed over 5.5 yards per rush to the Falcons with 89 passing on 26 attempts. Andy Dalton completed 65% of his passes, 8.9 yards per attempt. He passed for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dalton on the road this year, a 65% completion rate with 7.4 yards per attempt, but he has thrown 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions on the road. Cleveland, they're 6-8. They get the win 13-3 at home to Baltimore. The Browns posted 283 yards with 143 rushing on 33 carries. They allowed 7 yards per rush though to the Ravens, but 126 passing on 30 attempts. Deshaun Watson completed 64% of his passes for 5.9 yards per attempt. He passed for 161 yards and a touchdown. On the year, Watson a 61% completion rate with 6.2 yards per attempt. Saints have lost 6 of 7 on the road. Past 3 games, they have averaged only 12.3 points a game. Browns a winning team at home, and it's their home finale. Very tough to trust Andy Dalton on the road. Also factor a dome team entering a bitter cold Cleveland Stadium where the temperatures are 11 degrees with 27-mile-per-hour winds. At home, the Browns averaged 4.9 yards per rush, with the Saints allowing 4.6 yards per run on the road. The play here will be Cleveland -3. Seahawks and Chiefs, NFL pick here for Saturday. Lockett out for Seattle with running back Walker, receiver Goodwin, and tight end Fant questionable. On defense, a nose tackle and safety out. KC starters on offense healthy with a defensive tackle doubtful. Seattle fell to 7-7, a 21-13 home defeat to the San Francisco 49ers on a Thursday night. Seahawks gained 277 yards with 70 rushing on 14 carries. They allowed 5 yards per rush to the 49ers with 211 passing on 26 attempts. Geno Smith completed 70% of his passes with 5.4 yards per attempt. He passed for 238 yards and a touchdown on the season. Smith a 71% completion rate with 7.8 yards per attempt. KC improved to 11-3, a 30-24 road win at Houston. In overtime, Chiefs posted 502 yards of offense, 189 rushing on 33 carries. The team allowed over 3 yards per rush to the Texans with 125 passing on 29 attempts. Patrick Mahomes completed 88% of his passes with 8.2 yards per attempt. He passed for 336 yards and 2 touchdowns. This season, Mahomes has a 67% completion rate with 8.1 yards per attempt. Failed covers by KC in their wins against the Broncos and Texans. Though on the road, Seahawks offense can keep them close here. The play here will be Seattle +10. Giants and Vikings, NFL pick here for Saturday. Giants starters on offense healthy with a corner out. Vikings center out with linebackers and corner questionable. New York improved to 8-5-1 With their 20-12 road win at the Washington Commanders, Giants put up 288 yards with 128 rushing on 30 carries. They allowed 5 yards per rush to the Washington with 228 passing on 29 attempts. Daniel Jones completed 65% of his passes with 5 yards per attempt. He threw for 160 yards. Season to date, Jones a 66% completion rate with 6.6 yards per attempt. Minnesota comes off the 39-26 home overtime win to Indianapolis Colts. They overcame a 33-zip deficit in victory. Vikings gained 518 yards with 92 rushing on 24 carries. They allowed 4 yards per rush to the Colts with 170 passing on 33 attempts. Kirk Cousins completed 63% of his passes for 8.5 yards per attempt. He threw for 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He passed for over 400 yards in back-to-back games. On the year, Cousins a 65% completion rate with 7 yards per attempt. Both defenses in poor form, with the Giants allowing 412 yards and the Vikings 430 in their past 3 games. New York in this period allowing 6.2 yards per rush, which can open up big plays in the passing game for the Cousins. In this period, Giants 75% conversion rate in the red zone. Vikings 81.8%. Play here, New York and Minnesota over 49.5. Bengals and Patriots NFL pick here for action on Saturday. Tight end Hayden Hurst out for Cincinnati. On defense, a defensive end out, corner questionable. New England receiver Parker out with running back Stevenson and receiver Myers questionable. On defense, at right corner out, left corner questionable. Cincinnati improved to 10-4 with their 34-23 road win at Tampa Bay. Bengals gained 237 yards with 53 rushing on 21 carries. Bengals limited the Bucs to under 4 yards per rush with 304 passing yards on 44 attempts. Joe Burrow completed 69% of his passes with 5.1 yards per attempt. He passed for 200 yards with 4 touchdowns and an interception. Burrow on the year, a 68% completion rate with 7.6 yards per attempt. New England falls to 7-7. It was a 30-24 road defeat to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Patriots gained 318 yards, 206 rushing on 32 carries. New England allowed 4 yards per rush to the Raiders with 211 passing on 38 attempts. Mac Jones completed 42% of his passes, 3.6 yards per attempt. He passed for 112 yards. On the year, Jones a 66% completion rate with 6.9 yards per attempt. Patriots have lost and failed to cover 3 of 4. Bengals have won and covered 6 straight, with 3 of those games on the road. To play here, Cincinnati at -3. Texans and Titans NFL pick here for Saturday. Receivers Moore and Cooks questionable for Houston with a guard out. On defensive corner is questionable. Tannehill out for Tennessee. Receivers Burks, tackle, center, and guard questionable. On defensive corner is out with a safety questionable. Houston falls to 1-12-1, a 30-24 home overtime defeat to the Kansas City Chiefs. Texans gain 219 yards, 94 of it rushing on 28 carries. They allowed 6 yards per rush to the Chiefs with 313 passing yards on 41 attempts. Davis Mills completed 50% of his passes with 5 yards per attempt. He passed for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mills on the season a 62% completion rate with 6.5 yards per attempt. Tennessee falls to 7-7. It was a 17-14 road defeat to the LA Chargers. Titans posted 284 yards with 127 rushing on 27 carries. They held the Chargers to 3 yards per rush with 291 passing on 42 attempts. Malik Willis to start for the Titans. He completed 3 of 4 in relief last week, 20 yards, 5 yards per attempt. This season, Willis, a 45% completion rate with 4.7 yards per attempt. Tennessee's lost 4 straight. Texans' losing streak is 9 games, but covered the past 2. With cold temperatures in the forecast and the teens' light winds, it'll be tough for Texans to throw the football. Texans 29th in rushing, 32nd in rush defense. Derrick Henry game here. Play here, Tennessee -3. Commanders, 49ers, NFL pick here for Saturday. Commanders, offensive starters healthy. A safety and cornerback are questionable. San Francisco receiver Samuel out with a corner questionable. Washington fell to 7-6-1, a 20-12 home defeat to the New York Giants. Commanders gained 387 yards with 159 rushing on 26 carries. They allowed 4 yards per rush to the Giants with 160 passing yards on 32 attempts. Taylor Heineke completed 58% of his passes with 8.6 yards per attempt. He passed for 249 yards and a touchdown. San Francisco improved to 10-4, a 21-13 road win at Seattle on Thursday night. 49ers gained 381 yards with 170 rushing on 34 carries. They did allow 5 yards per rush to the Seahawks with 207 passing yards on 44 attempts. Brock Purdy completed 65% of his passes with 8.3 yards per attempt. He threw for 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. Purdy on the year, a 67% completion rate with 7.3 yards per attempt. 49ers have won 7 straight, covering 6 of those games. In those games, the team has allowed 11 points a game. Commanders on the road struggling on third down, scoring the issue for Washington. The play here, San Francisco at -6.5. Eagles and Cowboys NFL pick here for Saturday. Jalen Hurts is out for Philadelphia with their defensive starters healthy. Dallas starters are healthy. On offense, linebacker out with defensive end, linebacker and corner questionable. Philadelphia improved to 13-1 with their 25-20 road win at Chicago. Eagles put up 421 yards with 112 rushing on 33 attempts. They did allow 5 yards per rush to the Bears with 91 passing on 22 attempts. Eagles recorded 6 sacks. Gardner Minshew to start for the injured Hurts. Minshew has thrown for 4 passes this year. He has a career 63% completion rate with 7 yards per attempt. The backup has thrown 41 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, with much of his career played on bad Jaguars teams. Dallas fell to 10-4, a 40-34 road defeat to Jacksonville. Cowboys gained 397 yards, 154 rushing on 41 attempts. They allowed 7.5 yards per rush to the Jaguars with 311 passing yards on 42 attempts. Dak Prescott completed 77% of his passes with 8.5 yards per attempt. He threw for 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, with 1 going for a Jaguars winning touchdown. Eagles 7-0 on the road. Past 3 games, Eagles defense holding teams to 253 yards. Cowboys defensively in this period allowing 380 yards with 6.9 yards per pass attempt. Minshew is experienced and surrounded by the talent unlike what he had in Jacksonville. Play here, Philadelphia plus the 4.5. Raiders and Steelers NFL pick here for action on Saturday. Las Vegas left and right guards are questionable. On defense, a corner is out with tackle and linebacker questionable. Las Vegas improved to 6-8. It was a 30-24 home win to the New England Patriots. Raiders gained 308 yards with 97 rushing on 23 carries. They allowed 6.5 yards per rush to the Patriots with 112 passing on 31 attempts. Derek Carr completed 52% of his passes with 6.1 yards per attempt. He threw for 231 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. This season, Carr a 61% completion rate with 7.1 yards per attempt. Pittsburgh improved to 6-8 after their 24-16 road win at Carolina. Steelers posted 325 yards, 156 rushing on 45 carries. They limited the Panthers to under 2 yards per rush with 188 passing yards on 23 attempts. Kenny Pickett will start after a concussion forced him out last week. Pickett a 65% completion rate with 6.1 yards per attempt. Raiders have lost 4 of 6 on the road. Cold night in Pittsburgh, 18 degrees, 15-mile-per-hour winds. Tough conditions here for a dome team in Las Vegas. Past 3 games, Raiders allowing 4.6 yards per rush. Conditions favor the home team here. The play here will be on Pittsburgh at minus the 1.5. All right, that was our NFL pick show here for Saturday. Make sure you like and subscribe and give us that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Visit TonySpicks.com for our best bets with our premium picks and use that promo code TonyT at checkout and you'll save 20% off. All right, we'll have our bowl game as well come up soon. I'm Tony T, back a little bit later with more picks.